Avatar, 2009, Part 2. In his next video log, Jake examines his language illustrations and says his experience with the Na'vi resembles field stripping a weapon. Enough reiteration and you can't resist the urge to learn it. This is intercut with scenes of his kept preparing with Neytiri, who shows him the Na'vi Woods Association. She lets Jake know that all energy is acquired and one day we need to give it back. Jake appears to understand this, and as he says a petition for a creature he chased and recently killed, Neytiri says that he is prepared for a significant transitional experience, to bond with and ride a Declan, a flying mountain banshee. To arrive at the banshee's settling grounds, Jake should go with Neytiri, Sute and 2 other Na'vi learners to the most noteworthy locale of the Glory Be Mountains. A few factors, the tallness, the savagery of the untamed banshees, make this a risky example. However, Jake's absence of dread and fruitful security with his banshee procure him the hesitant regard of the Na'vi fighters present, even Sute. He makes the bond with the rings in his line, and as he rides the flying creature he comments that he's not a very remarkable horseman but rather he was destined to do this. Jake, Neytiri, and the others ride together to the Tree of Spirits, the most sacrosanct spot to the Na'vi. While flying on a hunting fight, Jake and Neytiri are out of nowhere sought after and assaulted by an animal referred to the Na'vi as Toruk, a monster and brilliantly shaded flying mountain banshee with deadly goals toward all that flies. Neytiri says its name signifies last shadow. The Toruk's shadow, once seen, is typically the last shadow one at any point will see, as its assault is quite often deadly. Back at Hometree, Neytiri shows Jake the skeleton of a forerunner of the present Toruk. She lets him know the last individual to ride a Toruk was hers granddad, who utilized the creature to join the 5 Na'vi clans in a period of incredible distress. Such an individual would acquire the title Toruk motto, Rider of the Last Shadow. At the point when Jake returns to his human structure, it's reasonable he's been changed by this most recent experience, for he says, out there is this present reality, and here is the fantasy. The Colonel approaches him to let him know his main goal is cultivated and he's to get back to Earth that day. Also, great to his promise, the Colonel has set up for Jake to seek the treatment he wants to recover utilization of his legs. Jake wishes to postpone his takeoff since he says he's right at where he's to be started into the clan and acknowledged as one of them and afterward would have the status to haggle with the Na'vi to move. The Colonel assents. Jake goes to a Na'vi service, where he learns the Na'vi accept that each individual can be conceived twice. Neytiri drives Jake to a position of supplication, the Tree of Voices, where they utilize their lines to bond with the tree. Neytiri tells Jake he can make a bow from the tree, also, that he can pick a lady. Jake lets Neytiri know that he has effectively picked her, and she says that she has picked him. They rest together under the tree and Jake awakens back in the lab. In the first part of the day, Neytiri stirs to falling trees, then, at that point, the presence of tractors. Fighters are progressing as the woods falls around Neytiri, who is hauling and conveying Jake to security. At their remote spot, Jake is preparing to interface with his symbol and when he at long last restores, Jake moves onto one of the tractors and attempts to stop it, in the end crushing its camera framework and drawing some gunfire. Other Na'vi fighters show up, while the Colonel, looking into films back at the base, perceives Jake in his symbol structure as the individual who attempted to stop their main goal. The tractors proceed with their activity, clearing out the sacrosanct ground. At Hometree, the Na'vi need war. Beauty and Jake contend against it. There's an extraordinary discussion. Sute attempts to kill Jake, desirous at having discovered that Jake and Neytiri are mated for life when he and Neytiri were pledged. Jake announces he is a Na'vi and merits the option to talk. Out of nowhere, both effortlessness and Jake's symbols fall oblivious as the connections among them and their human structures are suddenly broken by the maddened Colonel, who captures Jake for attempting to stop the tractors. Beauty and Jake go head to head with RDA and military metal. Beauty uncovers that Pandora's tree's structure an organization that has more neural associations than exist in the human mind and that the Na'vi can take advantage of that organization. Thusly, the Omaticaya won't ever leave Hometree. Parker and the Colonel examine choices. He will dispatch an assault on Hometree and use gas bombs to drive out the Na'vi. Jake presses to be permitted to get back to the Omaticaya to attempt to persuade them to leave, and he's conceded 1 hour to accomplish that level-headed. Jake and effortlessness are not invited back. Neytiri rejects Jake. Both Jake and Beauty are bound and abandoned by the Omaticaya, who are getting ready to battle against the people, who have shown up in an enormous armada of flying boats. The armada dispatches gas canisters into Hometree and the encompassing region. As the fight rages, the majority of the weaponry is designated at the root construction of Hometree, which is overturned by a progression of blasts and weighty gunnery. Numerous Omaticaya is killed. Molt liberates Jake and Beauty and requests that they save the clan. Jake shows up and is dismissed again by Neytiri when he attempts to comfort her. Neytiri's dad Atukan is killed by a huge piece of shrapnel. His perishing wishes for Neytiri to take his holy bow and accept the administration of their kin. The obliteration appears to be perpetual, and, unexpectedly, Jake and Beauty return to their human bodies and are immediately positioned collared for injustice. Norm is additionally captured for attempting to keep warriors from handicapping their symbol structures. The Na'vi assemble at the Tree of Spirits. Trudy shows up at the cell which holds Jake, Elegance, and Norm. She tricks their gatekeeper by saying she doesn't need anything to do with them, just to take out the watchman a moment later. As they get ready to escape the base, Effortlessness is shot and injured by the colonel. The group flies Trudy's boat to the distant lab in the drifting mountains and they take a case to one more spot in the timberland. Jake gets back to his symbol body. The confident get-together with the Omaticaya isn't to be, at first. Jake is an outsider. So he settles on an intense choice. He understands that to recover the trust of the Na'vi, he needs to take things to a more elevated level. He brings his Banshee and embarks to find the Toruk. His technique is straightforward, however can undoubtedly bring about death. Jake accepts that the Toruk never searches for an assault above himself and subsequently he can be moved toward that way. Jake bounces off his Banshee and onto the rear of the Toruk. We next see him show up riding the Toruk at the Tree of Spirits in an Omaticayan function. Jake has effectively reinforced with the Toruk. The Omaticaya is dazed to see their most noteworthy legend work out. Jake descends and clears his path through the horde of Na'vi, who awed the part before him. At the point when he arrives at Neytiri, each holds out an arm to the next and she says, "I see you." Sute, who is presently clan pioneer, yields Jake's new job of Toruk motto. He agrees with Jake with much regard. Jake persuades Moat to help Effortlessness, who is biting the dust. Moat starts the arrangements, which include getting Effortlessness human and symbol body set up at the Tree of Spirits. The thought is to for all time move Elegance's cognizance to her symbol. Moat leaves it alone, realize that Beauty should go through the Eye of Iowa, and that the incredible mother may decide to let her pass through to her symbol self, or she may pick to have Effortlessness stay with her. The custom isn't fruitful, however before she kicks the bucket, Beauty lets Jake know that she has seen Iowa. Jake, devastated and enraged, talks his Toruk motto and says it's an ideal opportunity to make an impression on the Sky individuals that this is their, the Na'vi's, property. However, to do as such, they initially should go to every one of the Na'vi groups to request that they come and battle as one. Sute will be the Omaticayan's new tribe pioneer and will likewise assist with energizing different groups to battle with them. The human military has gotten the imbuement of Na'vi into space, from a couple hundred to 2,000 inside a day. Going on like this, the colonel says as he tends to his soldiers, the Na'vi will before long add up to 20,000, so, all things considered, their edge will be overwhelmed. As opposed to allowing that to occur, he proceeds, they should arrange a preemptive assault while they actually can. They will probably transform a space transport into the transporter of an enormous bomb. Their objective is the Tree of Spirits, and the assault is gotten ready for 0600 the following day. They trust that if they annihilate the Tree of Spirits, the Na'vi will disappear and never draw close to this spot again. Jake is caught up with mobilizing the Omaticaya. At the Tree of Spirits, he utilizes his line to bond with the tree and requests that Iowa investigate Effortlessness recollections, focusing on that mankind killed their mom, Earth, the element that ensures the equilibrium of life. Neytiri shows up and tells Jake that Iowa doesn't favor one side. Quaritch masses his armada, generally as security for the Valkyrie transport. The bomb ship and the armada push toward the Tree of Spirits. The assembled Na'vi power starts to show up from the sky and on the ground. Jake on his Toruk, Sute, and different fighters take part fighting with the tactical airplane, principally Scorpion attack ships. Setbacks mount on the two sides. The gunships have the unequal capability, however are no counterpart for the Declans, who grasp them and crush them against one another. Jake, riding the Toruk, is sought after and shot at by Colonel Quaritch's Dragonfly transport. Trudy shows up and starts shooting at the Colonel's order transport. Neytiri's Banshee is killed. Norm's symbol is mortally injured and he bounces back to his human structure. Sute takes on the bomb ship and is killed in the endeavor. Trudy kicks the bucket when her boat is obliterated in a hail of gunfire from Quaritch's Dragonfly. Neytiri watches this activity starting from the earliest stage. Jake endeavors to contact Sute and is ineffective, just like his endeavor to arrive at Trudy. In the meantime, the bomb ship surrounds the Tree of Spirits. Jake tells Neytiri using a communicator to separate from the battle. Out of nowhere, through what's left of the encompassing backwoods, a regiment of Titanoteres, Pandora's vigorously defensively covered dinosaur-like creatures, shows up and draws in the Earth powers. They immediately devastate infantry and warriors in AMP suits. Excited that Iowa has heard Jake's request for help, Neytiri rejoins the battle with numerous other of Pandora's species behind her. When a Thanatos shows up neighboring, it bows to her agreeably. Jake and his Toruk take to the sky to stand up to the bomb ship as the Tactical's ground powers retreat in confusion. Drawing closer from a higher place, Jake projectiles the bomb ship. It crashes on fire and blasts well away from the Tree of Spirits. Jake likewise tosses explosives into weak pieces of the order transport. It starts to torch and go. Colonel Quaritch gets into an AMP suit and bounces liberated from the order transport before it breaks down in a wad of blazes. He winds up at the transitory camp set up by effortlessness. In the camp, Jake is inside his symbol case. Quaritch, set on killing Jake, is presently assaulted by a Thanatos that Neytiri had fortified with and ridden to the site. With the guide of his AMP suit, the colonel kills the Thanator and Neytiri is caught under it. Before the colonel gets an opportunity to kill Neytiri, Jake shows up in his symbol. The two take part in the battle, the colonel in his AMP suit and Jake as his symbol, equipped just with a piece of line. Jake crushes the suit's plastic shade, the colonel pops it off, wears a breathing cover, and, before he moves off toward the designs that house the units, asks Jake how it feels to have deceived his race. "You believe you're one of them?" "Time to awaken," he insults, as he crushes into the versatile lab, searching for Jake's case, plan on obliterating it and human Jake. The fight resumes. Jake is snatched by an arm of the AMP suit and dangles from his line before the colonel. In the meantime, Neytiri has nearly liberated herself. The colonel presently draws Jake nearer to him and goes after his blade, planning to complete Jake by cutting his throat. Out of nowhere, Neytiri shoots a bolt at the colonel, spearing him through the focal point of his chest. The colonel, faltering, can't proceed with his assault on Jake. Neytiri's subsequent bolt holds up directly close to the first. It acquires the colonel the AMP suit to the ground. Be that as it may, much harm has been done to the lab, which is spilling into the planet's noxious environment. Human Jake is alert yet experiencing issues both breathing and attempting to get a cover on. Neytiri shows up and helps Jake on with his veil. Supporting human Jake, she says, "I see you." It's whenever they first have seen each other eye to eye. Back at Hellfire's entryway, the majority of the leftover people are being walked into a van to be sent back to Earth. Be that as it may, a limited handful of Earth individuals, like Norm and Dr. Patel, are welcome to remain on Pandora. Jake closes down in his last video log, where we discover that he has decided to move his cognizance to his symbol for great. In a service like beauties, Jake goes through the Eye of Iowa, what's more, awakens in his symbol with Neytiri looking after him. To watch more video like this, click on the videos on your screen, and don't forget to let me know how you feel about today's video in the comments down below. And at last I will say stay safe and stay healthy. See you next videos.